I'm predicting our ceiling being 13-4, winning the division. Who sold me the drugs? Like, who sold me the drugs? Because how was I so far off? I haven't been consistent doing with these. I was supposed to be doing predictions and weekly updates on the team. And to be honest with you, I haven't been consistent because I haven't wanted to report on this team. I don't even deem them as the Miami Dolphins anymore. From this point forward, until they prove otherwise, they are known as the Miami Goldfish. The only good thing that has come from this season is that Chris Grier is no longer a part of this organization. Everybody wants to talk about that he's been a part of the organization for 25 plus years. I don't care about none of that. What I care about is that 2 years ago, he sat in a press conference and you told us, after we continuously asked about the offensive line, that we were more worried about the offensive line than you were. And since you've said those words, the offensive line has continuously proven to be the weakest link on this team. Not only that, but we have nobody on defense. All of our receivers are 5 feet or under, except for Westbrook-Ikhine. It seems like Chris Grier was doing everything he can to take 2 or 3 big names and let those 3 big names win a football game or win a season. And that's idiotic. We need somebody, a part of the organization, that's going to go out and get talent that can actually help us win. And the pieces that we do have on the field right now, I'm going to address the elephant in the room, not Mike McDaniel. I've already expressed my thoughts and feelings on Mike McDaniel. I feel like he has no form of coaching adjustments. I don't feel like he knows how to adapt and switch, and that may be because of the personnel that he has at the helm. But I'm not going to talk about Mike McDaniel. I want to talk about the guy that I haven't spoken about in detail, and that is Tua Tagovailoa. I have said this before, and I will say it again. I'll probably have to repeat myself after this video. If you are expecting Tua Tagovailoa to be Josh Allen, if you're expecting him to be Lamar Jackson, if you're expecting him to be Patrick Mahomes, if you're expecting him to be any of those game-changing quarterbacks where just having them on the roster automatically makes your team better, he's not those guys. From what I'm seeing, he'll never be those guys, mainly because he's not nearly as mobile as those guys are. Having said that, we're not going to let recency bias and all the toxicity that's on Twitter and the internet make us look like we don't believe that Tua can play the quarterback position successfully. I ask you, what quarterback has had sustained success behind a god-awful offensive line? Let me preference by saying we watched the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes looked god-awful in the Super Bowl because he had no blocking and his offensive line was getting kicked to sleep by the defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles. If Patrick Mahomes, who is arguably the best quarterback playing today, can look that bad behind an offensive line that can't protect him, please explain to me how Tua Tagovailoa is supposed to look anywhere near competent behind a bad offensive line. Am I blaming everything on them? No, I've already mentioned it. His lack of mobility hinders him. His previous history of being hurt shows that the man got happy feet in the pocket because he doesn't trust his O-line, but also he wants to avoid another injury. You can't play football successfully that way, right? You can't do that. His decision-making has been impacted. Again, it might be because he's focusing on trying to not take injuries or take unnecessary risks. He's made some awful throws and currently leads the league in interceptions with 11. He has not shown the leadership skills to elevate the people around him, especially with the answers that he's been given to questions in all of these press conferences. All of these things are true, but 2 things can be true at the same time. And the fact of the matter is, as you have a coach that is just going to continue to call screenplays regardless of how easily they are read by the defenders. And you have a GM that is not giving you adequate protection to allow you not just to have time to throw the ball, but to not have to just rely on your arm and rely on the run game. When you don't have those things happening, you're going to lose. If Tua goes to any competent franchise, he will have success. We saw it with Ryan Tannehill. When Tannehill left the Dolphins, he went to Tennessee. Tennessee had a decent offensive line and arguably the best running back in football at the time in Derrick Henry, and we saw Tannehill finding his way to the playoffs multiple times. And the only thing that Tannehill has over Tua would be maybe a stronger arm and a tougher body. So I'm going to be honest with you. And then obviously, if you look at the business side of it, they're not getting rid of Tua because the major cap hit that would hit the team. And I don't know if there'll be a valuable trade for him in the upcoming year. So let's look along the lines of what the future looks like. If we get a competent GM that can allow us to do what we can to beef up the offensive line, right? If you're going to trade players, trade the players, get the draft capital or whatever. You need to keep these three players. You got to keep Tua because you can't help but to. Like, it's going to cost the team too much money to not keep him. If anything, restructure his contract. Restructure his contract. Find a way to get him to take less money so you can beef up the offensive line and get some pieces on defense in the secondary and in the linebacker core. So honestly, we need pieces all over the defense. We need a new conditioning staff because everybody just keeps getting injured every year, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But more importantly than anything else, you keep Achane and you keep Waddle. I keep seeing people on the internet talking about trade them. Why? They're young, great talents. You keep them. You have Tua. You build around those pieces by giving us a better offensive line. You build around those pieces by shoring up the defense, and you actually put together a good roster. Our roster wasn't great coming into the season. The only name we had on defense was Minkah Fitzpatrick. There is a way to fix what's here without completely tearing it down. Now, change does still need to happen, all right, because Mike McDaniel may not make it past this season. And if he does make it into next season and we do short up the roster, he has to prove that he can fully coach a team, right? We see glimpses of competency from him. We see glimpses of it from Tua. I want consistency from this team, man. I want consistency from this team. I want consistency from the organization. And if putting together a better roster can do that, then great. Because the one thing this team has never had is both a great defense and a great offense. I'm going to say great. We have not had a good defense and a good offense at the same time. And don't tell me it's not possible, because we've seen the Eagles do it. We've seen the Chiefs do it. We've seen the Ravens do it. We've seen the Bills do it. We've seen the 49ers do it. We need to build a team that is capable. This team isn't capable. I watched that Thursday night football game knowing it's like, yo, we got receivers fumbling the ball. We're having miscues with the offensive line with false starts. We're not good enough to beat a Ravens team if we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And lo and behold, what happened? We lost. So what I feel like needs to happen, we need to find out what we can do with a new GM, what we can piece together for this team, and try to make something happen before we have to really destroy everything. Because I will say this, and I know a lot of people like fire McDaniel, he's not the answer, get rid of Tua and everything else. Successful franchises do not tear down after 3 years or 4 years. That's not what successful franchises do. Having a new coach every 3 to 4 years, getting a new quarterback every 6 to 7 years, those things do not help build a franchise. And I will preference that by saying that the Philadelphia Eagles, while they didn't make it to the playoffs on the back of Carson Wentz, they won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles as the quarterback. I don't think y'all heard me. They won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles as the quarterback. And they won that Super Bowl against the New England Patriots, the Tom Brady-led New England Patriots. If you put a good team around him, and I know I'm going to get a lot of people talking about, Tua can't win with all that. We're not asking him to do that. We don't want him to have to do that. But since we have him, since we've paid him, build up the team, allow him to play a point guard where he's handing the ball off, and you play offense like you did against the Falcons. That's the offense that you want to see from this team. A balanced rushing attack, a balanced passing attack, but you can't do it with this team. You need a better roster. This is my mid-season take on the Dolphins. I'm sorry, the Miami Goldfish. So yeah. That's all I got.